This is Don't Panic, episode number 382, recorded March 25th, 2024. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on Gadget Internet and you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined as always by a couple of Mileage Plus Elite, Diamond Medallion, Emerald Club Elite. I think I said Elite twice. Club members. It is Colby Rabideau and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Oh yeah.
Ahoy. What's the
Ahoy.
airport? What's the airplane version of ahoy? Do the airplane people have like a special, hello word?
Airplane version of ahoy.
Similarly, are there airplane pirates, and do they have their own dialect too?
That Airplane Pilots sounds like a young adult novel that got turned into a movie where there's like the plucky young girl who no one believes in and she becomes the best sky pirate of like the plane world when the regular world, like post-apocalyptic, like everyone lives in planes now.
Sean, maybe you should write YA fiction.
Honestly, it can't be that hard. I gotta be honest. No disrespect, but
He says disrespectfully.
But I like this. Sky Pirates is a $250 million movie that makes $5 at the box office and ruins some poor guy's career. It's Mortal Engines all over again. I'm sure you guys remember that one. There you go.
No,
Google Mortal Engines. Kids at home.
Was that a book?
They made a movie out of it
Okay.
that
Yeah.
literally nobody saw.
Was that in a movie league? Is that why I know what it is?
That's a good question. It was 2018, so it probably was.
Yeah.
I would have to look. But it was Peter Jackson was heavily involved in it.
And I also remember Dark Tower being
sure.
Yeah. Pretty big flop.
That was a bad one. Yeah.
Speaking of movies, I saw my first movie in 4.5 years by contributing to my extensive but probably short-lived lead by seeing Dune 2.
Oh, wow.
It was good. It was fun. See, I thought it was a good movie, and plot, like, whatever, it's fine. But they did things in the movie that looked really weird, and it was fun to look at. And I realized that is the number one thing these days that I appreciate in a movie. I don't necessarily want to see a movie that would just for the story. I mean, that's fine. It's better than seeing a movie for other reasons. But to see visually something that I've never seen before, that's not what I'm interested in. And it feels a little bit different than like the Transformers thing. Like I want it to be a little bit more. I want it to be a little weirder than that. I don't just want to be like, what if there was a dump truck the size of Mars and it came over and like it's like, okay, yeah,
Mars dumps.
But that's like more. I guess it's the difference between like hard sci-fi and other kinds of sci-fi. Where I just want it to be weird. Anyways, I thought Dune 2 was a good movie,
and that was appropriately Dan level weird.
Yes, very much so.
Can't ask for more.
The Dune books get very, very weird. And so much so that almost no one reads past the first book, because by book 3, it's basically metaphysical at that point. It's like has nothing to do with the original story. So maybe they'll go there, and if so, it might not be a complete disaster because they've shown that they're willing to be experimental.
Interesting. Now, is Dune 2 the movie? Has it made it to the end of the first book?
Yes, I think I have. I'm now rereading the first book because I realized that I remembered everything that happened in the first book, and in the first movie, and I didn't remember anything that happened really in the second movie. So I'm rereading it to see how much did they change. Because the first movie was pretty much spot on. So, and I wouldn't be surprised if the second movie was too. But I was shocked that I was like, hang on a second, I have no memory of this.
Right. Now, Dan, have you ever watched the original Dune movie?
No, but I have seen clips of it. And I watched, and maybe even picked on this show. Maybe I watched the documentary about the the other Dune movie that was almost made before they made the David Lynch Dune movie called Jodorowsky's Dune, I think.
Wow. I didn't know there was another one.
It's a pretty short documentary, and it's again, actually, the thing that sticks with me was how bonkersly ambitious this Dune movie was. I think it came out before Star Wars, or would have come out before Star Wars, and it was like 10 times as ambitious. But also the concept art that they created for the original Dune movie looks truly unhinged. You could, if you created a movie today with images like that in it, some people would say it's too much. And this was like 1971 or whatever. So that's also that movie. So I did watch the documentary about the movie that didn't get made, and I have seen clips of the David Lynch one, but I haven't sat through the whole thing yet.
I watched the David Lynch one once. I don't remember. I was like home alone. I feel like it was raining or something, and I didn't have anything else to do. I was like, well, I saw it. It was on Netflix, and I was like, today's the day. And
Was
I
this
watched
like,
it.
In the last 10 years ish?
I think it was during COVID, honestly.
Okay.
Like when there was like nothing to do. You just trapped at home. It was a
So
weird
that
time.
may have been concurrent with the first of the new movies coming out then.
That might have. It's possible that was what prompted me to want to think about watching the old one. Is that the new one was coming out? It was as weird as everyone says.
I should watch it. It sounds fun. I'll add that to the list.
I bet it would be more fun with friends.
Yeah.
Like with company.
I didn't know this. I looked this up. Apparently, that was Kyle MacLachlan's first ever acting role on screen.
Oh, I didn't know it was the first, but yeah, that Twin Peaks connection.
Yeah, he's I was looking at his filmography because I'm like, of all the like odd guys, like he's been in a lot of stuff.
He's odd.
The Flintstones.
Did you see recently the Kyle MacLachlan Reddit AMA?
No, but it sounds amazing.
I'm gonna pull it up because how to spell his name? There we go.
MacLachlan.
Thank you. Because speaking of things that are unhinged, this AMA is unhinged. So he posts in the AMA test. Let's see. How to even people asking, what year is this? He goes, you tell me. I don't wait, where was I'll have to come back and find the like truly unhinged stuff.
Also,
Now I know Dan, you went out to see Dune. Colby, I know you ran out. I think you were first in line to see Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire. How was that?
Ghostbusters :
I heard they get cold in this one.
No, I haven't been to a movie since before COVID. The streak is alive. It just it's a thing I used to do, and now I just don't.
Ghostbusters 4 didn't drag you out of the. No,
not yet. Did you go see it, Sean?
no. I went to. I didn't even like make it to the pandemic. I haven't seen movies since I think like 2017. No, unfortunately not.
Nope. What are you gonna do?
Not see a movie that is. Actually, you guys got me. I had to write down.
Here we
some,
go.
Yes.
I found it. It was right in the top. There we go. It says, welcome to my AMA on all things small towns with big secrets, wine, and becoming your best baby girl self. I'm here to answer your questions today. Be there or be square or oval. Yeah, Kyle MacLachlan, he seems like a character.
He seems cool. I'd hang out with him.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think when people, like famous people like this, do an AMA, do you think they're typing it out themselves, or do you think that they're just dictating and a person is typing it for them?
I think when these people do it, I think at the Kyle MacLachlan level, I think he's typing it out. I think if it were Hillary Clinton or LeBron James or Taylor Swift, they would not be typing it out. I don't know if those people have ever done
They have
AMAs,
a Reddit
but...
handler.
Right.
A Reddit translator.
But that's just my guess. And maybe they're so good, the handlers, that they come up with the unhinged shit, and it makes it sound really believable.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, at that point, like, I wonder if the person has to be involved at all. Like, maybe they just have a person,
Yeah,
like a voice double who can do the typing for you. Like, you don't even have to be involved.
a ghostwriter, but for social media.
Right, and like a real-time ghostwriter. It's like that. That's your job. It's just like you're my.
It's a good question, because it does seem a lot. The people. It's believable that the celebrities are posting on Twitter, RIP, because all you have to do is write 100 and however many characters at a time, and you never have to respond to anyone. But this is all responses.
Right.
And you have to do it over a relatively short period of time. It's a good question.
Well, I don't know if you guys know this fact, but when they shoot a movie, they shoot coverage, which is where, if you're talking and your face is on the screen, great, but when they do the other side of the conversation, you just see the back of their head. Eddie Murphy has a guy who the back of his head looks exactly like the back of Eddie Murphy's head, and he hires him on every movie to just stand there for coverage. So unless you're seeing Eddie Murphy's face, Eddie Murphy is not on set. I don't see why you couldn't do that for social media.
I mean, so a thing that I've learned about LinkedIn since working at a startup is that, like, a person who is like sufficiently high up at a company who is on LinkedIn actively, like, they don't do their LinkedIn accounts. It's like subsumed by the board or whatever. Now I'm wondering,
by the board or by the marketing department?
The Borg, I said, but I meant the marketing. I mean, by that I meant the marketing.
I forgot
department.
we have
the
the
cold
from the marketing
unthinking
department on the podcast right now.
Yeah. As I'm saying this out loud, though, I'm wondering, like, do you think the CEOs have like a Finsta for LinkedIn?
No, can you just create a LinkedIn account? I've had mine for like 15 plus years.
I don't know. I'm probably right.
Yeah, but of all of the social networks to require some sort of identity verification, that seems like the one that would be most important for everyone.
Yeah, but there's like no badge or anything. Well, yeah, that's a good question.
I think at some point on LinkedIn, I had to do like
that sounded familiar.
Upload your driver's license screenshot or something.
I do remember that when I wrote a blog post, and someone inside of Facebook posted it on Workplace or whatever it was called, and then sent me a screenshot of Mark Zuckerberg commenting on the blog post. And I was like, oh, that's cool. But I was like, but there's no way he actually read it. And they're like, oh, no. Like he does. And then recently, like he writes all of his own posts. And then recently, wasn't there something on Threads or Instagram or something where I think it was Threads, where he posted a photo of himself in Japan, and he had like the AI Pope jacket. Like he actually had it and was wearing it. And someone made a comment about it, and he kind of like Kyle McLaughlin, he responded it in a sort of like the most uncharacteristically unhinged way, where he's like, yeah, this is just like the fuck you energy I want to bring into 2024 or something like that. Something like, whoa, okay. And then someone was like, wow, I can't believe your PR person would write this. And he said, no, I wrote this. Something like that. And again, either they really want to double down on the illusion that he's actually doing this, or he is actually fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, but social media is like the quickest, easiest thing. Like the CEO's not writing a press release or like doing a TV, but like to shoot off a quick post. Sure.
Right. The thing that was surprising about the Threads one was it wasn't shooting off a quick post. He like responded to someone, so if it was him, he had to like, go take a shit and open Threads and be like, you know what, I'm going to respond to this one. And I guess everybody's got to poop. What are you going to do if you're a multi-billionaire? What better things do you have to do on the toilet?
Well, you have a guy to do the toilet for you, Dan. You don't do it yourself.
Dude, what do you define?
You got a guy. You got a guy or lady. Let's
Wait
be
a
fair.
second. How much work can be taken off your plate here? No pun intended.
Listen, when
maybe.
money's no object, Dan, I'm just saying.
Anything
I thought
is
that when
possible.
we got the cheapest wire cutter recommended bidet, I thought that was luxury, but I didn't know how far you could take this.
Poop surrogate.
God.
We're spiraling very quickly this evening. We are loose.
I really want one of these Pope jackets. That looks cool.
I
Colby
think
the
you
Pope
could
jacket.
pull it off, Colby. Yeah. Walking around Boston after fresh snow day.
Oh my God. No one would see me.
Speaking of multi-billionaires, planes.
Okay.
Multi-billionaires have their own planes. We don't.
Sometimes
So
several.
we have to do this other thing.
Yes, public transportation.
Well,
I guess technically,
yeah.
paying
Private
or paid public transportation.
Yes, paid private transportation with a bunch of other people.
Folks, if you have not been listening to the last couple episodes, shame on you, because you've been missing us go through step by step our thoughts, opinions, tips, and tricks, and everything on our minds about the act of air travel. We started going through. We began by literally leaving the house, and we've gotten all the way through to being on the plane itself. Last week we talked about everything from how you stay entertained on the plane, where you like to sit on the plane, the snacks, the beverages, and all of that. Guys, anything from last time you want to recant or edit your thoughts on or follow up on?
What was the spectrum that we covered last time? I know that we were boarding the plane. Up until when?
Like I said, we were on the plane and we covered a bunch of stuff on the plane. I think we basically gotten through everything there is to do on a plane while it's flying, and I think landing was our kind of next step.
I have no recanting to do.
Landing the plane.
Attendants, prepare for landing.
Yep.
Ding dong.
So, landing. There's not much to do in landing, which is nice.
Put away your laptop.
You have to stow your tray table, bring your seat to an upright position.
Yes. Though short of a laptop, it does seem like you can have pretty much any size electronic out beyond that.
I saw on my last trip, I kid you not, a guy had one of those Surface tablets with the attachable keyboard, and literally the attendant said to him, "You can keep using your device if you remove the keyboard." I guess it's in an accident, it might impale you or something. I'm not sure, but I'm that is such a weird line to draw.
Oh, speaking of, I think it was on our flight to Australia. We were taking off, and you get to the part in the takeoff where the plane is no longer level; it's pointing up, and we heard a crash, thump, boom, and then flying down the aisleway comes a canister, an oxygen canister, one of the looks like a scuba tank. And it had not been secured into the little door next to where the stewards and stewardesses sit in their little fold-out chairs. And I don't remember. I think it maybe just crashed into a chair and stopped. And then I think the steward had to run, get up out of the chair and grab it, and then ran back to the chair and sat down and just sort of held it like this it was pretty crazy. Wow. But anyways, yes, landing, I guess it could impale people. There's not that much to do when landing.
Well, I know one of the things that we all love is to hear the available credit card offers from our favorite airlines, because if you sign up today, you'll get 50,000 free bonus miles. That's equal to 1 round-trip flight anywhere in the continental United States.
I have not, either because I have my noise-canceling headphones in all the time, or Alaska Airlines doesn't do it.
No, I think American is the only one that I've been on that still does it.
Okay. I do remember that it was a thing. Yeah, and like I guess when you're landing, you can it depends on where you're seated. If you're seated in the aisle, you can try to stand up immediately. You can try to rescue your bag from wherever the hell you actually had to put it, depending on how far away that was from where you're actually seated. But otherwise you're just standing there.
Well, yeah, that's the big question, I guess, especially because you guys are aisle guys. Are you stand up as quickly as humanly possible the second the seatbelt sign comes off? Or are you, when it's my time, I'll get up and you stay in your seat?
I used to not stand up, but something that changed my mind was that, and I don't remember if it was always this way or if it changed or I just started noticing it, but if I don't stand up, I often find that now when it's time for my row to go, I can't stand up. So I end up like missing when I could have gone earlier, and that's fine. But then like now if my bag is 1 row behind me, it's going to be awkward because I get up and fight the crowd. Be like, no, everyone, like, hold on. I got to reach over here. So now I try to reserve my row's little slice in the aisle. So when it's our time to get out, there's actually room for us to get out.
Doing God's work. I was gonna say the I don't typically stand up, but the only time I do stand up is if my bag is behind me.
Yeah,
like if
that's the worst.
Right, because that's like not good for anyone involved.
Here's another thing I'm just remembering is I think what changed is it used to be that people would not take their bags down until it was time to go. And now if people have the space, they'll start filling the aisle with their bags before the doors are even open to get out. And then at that point, you really can't get out of your seat.
Right. Scumbags.
Did we talk about the wheels and the bookshelf and all of those different analogies they use to try to get people to efficiently put their bags in the overhead last time? I don't remember talking about this.
We didn't get to that level of detail.
That's another thing where people like not only is it the case that anyone who thought about this for 10 seconds and had any sort of spatial awareness could figure out the right way to do this, but they even tell you now how to do it and people still don't. It's like it's one of those things where like in so many cases in life you don't know if people are doing the right thing or not. I guess traffic rules is where this comes up, in other situations where it's really obvious when someone is breaking the law, frankly. You can just tell. But here, too, you walk down the plane, you're boarding later. There's a bunch of bags already in there. It says right on the door, it's folded down, wheels out, folded this way. And you just look, and it's like 30% of them are wrong. It's not like a couple.
Yeah. No respect.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I got yelled at. This was probably 2 or 3 years ago. There just happened to be an attendant right very close to me when I was putting my bag up, and I went to rearrange somebody else's bag that was lying flat. I was going to put it up.
Oh, yeah, I do
supposed
that.
to be. And she said, "Sir, please do not touch other people's bags." And I was like, What? I was like, fine. By the way, didn't put it back down, left it up where I put it, and then put my bag in there. But I said, yeah, it's pretty darn disrespectful.
So Laura has the distinct misfortune of sometimes having to travel with an instrument, which is a thing you're allowed to do. Like you can do it, and it takes up a weird amount of space and is totally allowed. But when she does, you get on the plane and we always have to get like an early seat. So there is this place for the instrument to go. And then when she does, she sits there on high alert, waiting for a person to try and move her instrument, which inevitably they do. She has to shut it down. Like, do not touch that. That's her
Yeah,
job
wow.
for a very stressful 20 minutes of boarding.
See,
It's
that's the thing when you play like tuba, there's just no chance. You got to roll the dice underneath the plane no matter what, which is sort of freeing.
I think Laura said her dad plays the bass, like the upright bass, and I don't think you can take it on a plane at all. And so he either has to drive to where he's going or ship it like he's shipped it before, like pack.
Really? What do you mean you can't? Like it's ill-advised or you're not allowed to?
Well, I think you wouldn't put it in the cargo hold. Like that's not one of the options. And it's too big to fit in the plane. Like it's too large to you know, it doesn't fit in the
That's
seat. Like with a cello you can get a seat for your instrument. And it'll fit, it can sit next to you. Which I've seen people do before. but
that's so surprising.
Yeah.
So we need to have Laura on next time to talk about this, but I would have presumed that if you were going to do that, what you needed to do is like unstring your instrument, pack it in like one of those like giant metal foam crates like people put their cameras into, but humongous. And it costs a shit ton of money, but it's better than driving for 9 days. That's what I would have thought. But maybe you can't do that, or it's just prohibitively expensive or something.
Yeah. I don't know that the cargo area of a plane is like temperature controlled.
It is not.
Which is a problem for.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
How do you, because I know like you can buy an extra seat for an instrument or a dog. Do they like get a boarding pass?
I was wondering about this too. And like
you
hear about the situations where if you're over a certain width, you have to, quote, buy another seat. But how do you actually do that? Because there's no facility to do so online.
Maybe there is.
Maybe there is,
and
I
I
just
just
haven't seen it.
Dan, I think you should treat yourself on your next flight.
Because
2 seats,
but it is one of those things where, because again, having flown to Australia, it's like 3 economy seats are less than 1 first class seat, and at that point, guess what? You can lie down. So why are people not just doing that all over the place? I mean, yeah, it's $3,000, but that's not $5,000. So or $20,000.
That's true.
The difference between business and first. So yeah, I don't get it. But I thought the reason was because they won't let you do that. But then I was like, but who cares? They got their bag either way. Maybe then no one would buy business class seats. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem.
But I also have to imagine, you know, we've certainly seen our fair share of like crazy people going nuts and losing their mind in airports and stuff. Can you imagine the meltdown someone would have if they're like, "Sir, the plane's overbooked. We're gonna have to bump you to the next flight," and some guy walks down and has a seat for his cello. I can only imagine.
You know?
Yeah, I heard someone was telling me about how, like, if you work at or for an I guess it must be an airline, you get these extremely discounted tickets, maybe even free. I don't remember, but you get bumped if there is any paying passenger.
A lot of times it's free standby tickets.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that, again, I was like, oh, man, I'd have to be really desperate to ever do that. Unless I was like, I don't know what I would have to be. Like, because if I was retired, I wouldn't want to do it because now I don't have that much time. I'm trying to make the most of it. But
if you're flying between like 2 very popular destinations where there's 4 or 5 flights a day,
yeah, but then they're popular for a reason. You know,
it's a gamble. I have a very good a coworker of mine. His wife is an attendant on JetBlue, and so he flies for free all the time on standby, and he gets on flights no problem. So
wow, okay,
maybe that's just a good airline to pick. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this person was doing a multi-leg international trip on standby.
That's a gamble.
So, yeah,
that's aggressive.
Yeah.
A person I sat next to at work it was like his cousin worked for American or something, and he was her whatever, like special person that could fly standby. And he would just like go once in a while on the weekend, he would go to the airport and just like get on a flight to go somewhere. Like he would just go to the airport and take a flight that he could take somewhere. And sometimes he would go to like Florida, and sometimes he would go to like Portugal, and that was his activity. He would just go
I'm
somewhere
curious
random.
about that too, because and now we're just going backwards in our thing. But my understanding, like you watch the movies in the 90s and someone like shows up at the airport and is like, give me the first ticket to Timbuktu or whatever. And my understanding is you can't do that anymore. They don't vend tickets at the airport.
Right.
But then how does that work if you're on standby and you want to do that? How do you even get into the airport so that if there is a seat, you can get on the plane if you haven't, quote, booked a ticket?
Right. Maybe what you can do is say, like, I want to fly standby for this flight, and they let you in. And then you're in. So then you.
That's interesting. But then what do you show to TSA?
I don't know.
I believe
maybe
you
it's a
can.
ticket.
You can book standby through an airline's app, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Like once they claim it's full, you can get a standby ticket.
I see.
And also the other thing, by the way, with airport security, I think we talked about this on our episode. They don't check for tickets anymore anyway. At least
That's
not on
true.
the last many times I've flown. They never. It was just the ID. Like if you wanted to go into the airport and get a sandwich and then leave, I think these days that would be pretty easy to accomplish.
They just have the best Dunkin' Donuts in Terminal C.
Really? I need to look at that next time. Yeah, but now that you're mentioning it, I think we did talk about this.
Because that's why I had to, when I got stuck in Jacksonville, I had to book a ticket on my phone, one of the last seats, while I was at the airport.
Right.
And managed to get the mobile boarding pass. I was like already past security when I bought the
Right.
ticket.
Right.
And rolled right on.
Yeah, I've done that before. Since we've rewound to fast forward a little bit, but not quite to where we were before, what are your reclining the seat policies for yourself in an airplane?
I will recline my seat if I am going to sleep, and I will recline my seat if I need to work and the person in front of me has reclined their seat. Because otherwise I can't.
Sure.
I do, however, unlike some people, I always make a point to recline my seat slowly so I don't snap the laptop screen off the person behind me.
Yup.
That's very kind.
Did I tell you that the last time I flew, I think, or maybe sometime recently, that happened? Like someone just like, bing, blah, and then like caused the whole scene. Like I think it was a spilled drink behind them or something. Like it's really poorly designed.
The seat should probably do the reclining for you to avoid this problem. You know what I mean? Like a lazy boy. Like
maybe with backup lights.
beep, beep.
Like when you get the automatic garage door closer and it has
Exactly.
to announce beforehand. Yeah.
Right.
I think you guys are forgetting that the airplane experience is purposefully made to be as miserable as humanly possible. Like to push you to your limit right up to that line where they won't break you, but they'll bend you. Yeah, I don't recline. It's one of those things where like I'm uncomfortable no matter what position that seat is in. And I just don't find in economy, I don't find it any better. If I'm in a more premium seat, I will. But in economy, it's like it just goes back a little bit more. It doesn't really do anything for me. But I do hate. I am a laptop. We talked about this. I watch like movies and stuff on my laptop. I hate when people in front of me recline. That sucks.
It does.
Yeah. I'm always on lookout for when that happens, ready to snap the laptop lid shut at a moment's notice.
Oh yeah, I've got it wedged once or twice, and yeah, that's not fun.
I have only ever reclined when I was on like a red eye. Otherwise, I hate when the person in front of me does it so much that I can't bring myself
Can't
to
do it to others.
I also I can't sleep on planes anyways, so it's kind of like a futile gesture. The reclining of the seat. It's meaningless.
Now, have you ever tried to alter your sleep in any way to make it possible to sleep on the plane? Have you explored heavier weight solutions?
Like drugs?
Yeah, I
drugs or like sleep deprivation.
Oh, I thought you meant like a weighted blanket. Like I brought my weighted blanket on the plane. It was very heavy. No,
I have not tried drugs, although I probably told a story on here about my friend who took the Xanax and then didn't know how to turn the lights on in his hotel room when we got to the place. But I have done sleep deprivation, which works well for me.
That's an interesting idea. I've never tried sleep deprivation. I have taken like I was feeling bad and I took like Benadryl, which didn't really do it for me.
Yeah.
I can always fall asleep on a plane. But the problem is like I sleep for like 20 minutes and then, the first thing that happens, the first person that walks by or person like vaguely near me that turns on their overhead light, like I wake up and then I've just had a power nap and I'm like ready to go for the rest of the flight.
Yep.
I never tried sleep deprivation though. That could be good.
Sometimes the sleep deprivation happens for you, depending on which way you're traveling.
Sure. Yeah.
So it might happen to you even if you don't plan for it.
I absolutely cannot sleep on a plane. Once it's in the air, I am totally awake. Even back when I used to do 10, 11 hour, leave at 7 p.m. flights, I wouldn't sleep. And so I would just craft my sleep around the plane. Like I would usually land around like 6 a.m. And I would go make sure I had a hotel room available to me when I got into town at like 8 a.m. And I would sleep for 2 or 3 hours. And that was usually enough to get me through the day. But I had coworkers who would do that and they'd start work at 7 a.m. when they land. I did that one time. I was awake for like 32 hours straight because I didn't sleep on the plane and I landed. I had to work the whole day, then go out to dinner. And after that, I said I have to come in a day early. I will gladly do that if it means I can function like a human being.
Yeah.
In a couple of weeks, we have a work offsite in San Francisco. So I have to go to San Francisco, and then Laura and I are going to Minnesota to visit her family. So I'm going from San Francisco to Minnesota, and then we're coming from Minnesota back to Boston. But today, Laura asked me to send her my flight from San Francisco to Minnesota because she wanted to send it to her parents so they know what the schedule is. And I sent it to her and she said, "Is this right?" I said, "I don't know why." And apparently, unbeknownst to me, I booked a flight that was not 12:45 p.m. but 12:45 a.m. to 6 a.m. or something. That was very much not what I intended. So I promptly changed my flight to...
I thought you were going to say that your flight was booked to Rochester, New York instead of Rochester, Minnesota or something like that.
Right. Minneapolis, Indiana. No, it's just a weird time. But I would not have been happy if I was at SFO at 12:45.
I didn't know planes left that late, to be totally honest.
From California. I did it when I was living out there. I did that flight around that time once or twice where I would leave at 11:30 or 12 at night and get in the crack of dawn. And it was horrible. It was not good for me because, as we discussed, I can't sleep on planes. So I would.
But planes from the East Coast going to Europe will also leave that late. That's the red eye time.
Yeah, I've done a red eye once in my life, and it was for $1,000 flight credit because I changed my good flight to a red eye and it was not worth $1,000 in flight credits. Wasn't worth $1 million in flight credits. I will never do that again. I was like 3 a.m. going through my Chicago layover.
Oh no!
Like
have a
stumbling
rally with a layover.
It was Vegas to Hartford, and with a Chicago layover at like 3 a.m. And I was like, and nothing was open. The place was abandoned. I was like shuffling to my next game. Hated that.
That's so sad. That sounds hard because I feel like when I'm that tired, I just have to eat. Like I have to eat food even if I'm not hungry, because that's what keeps me functioning at the barest, the minimum possible level of human functionality. But I can like eat food and like think for 20 minutes and then, collapse back into whatever fugue state I just came out of.
Well, I learned this was back when my flight anxiety was really bad, and those flights felt so long, those Europe flights. And I learned a trick that you should set a 1-hour timer on your phone. I don't know if you heard about this. You set a 1-hour timer on your phone, and you watch it count down. And when it hits 0, you start it over again at another hour. And so it doesn't feel like an 11-hour flight. It feels like a bunch of 1-hour flights, and it doesn't feel as long.
Huh, right.
And that was a very helpful trick on the really long flights.
It's like the Kimmy Schmidt, you can survive anything for 10 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. I could survive it. Barely.
I'm going to try that when I go to California.
Yeah.
I hate that flight so much.
I don't know who came up with that, but give it your best shot.
Yeah, man, that's funny because to me the California flight is like, oh, this is great. This is like comfortably under that 8-hour, the 8-hour time horizon. It's nowhere close to the 16-hour hell zone. Like 6 hours is great, but everything's relative.
I can do 3 hours, like 3.5 hours. 4 hours is okay, but like. Once you get into the 5th hour, I start to like fray.
Well, I've kind of it's funny because I've kind of come to this conclusion where like everyone's like direct flights. But I've come to this conclusion, like given the choice between a direct flight at an inconvenient time or a flight with a layover at a good time, I'd rather take the flight with the layover. Now, it depends on the layover, right? How long it is, what airport it's in. Like, I'm not going to pretend a 40-minute layover is a good idea. But if it's an appropriate, again, if it's like a 6 to 8 hour flight with a layover, I think that's not a terrible experience versus a direct at an inconvenient time.
I do remember, like, back in the day, flying, like, Southwest places, and, like, you always had a layover if you were flying Southwest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't that bad. It was usually in a big airport, so there was stuff to eat.
I'm just used to it because I fly to Hartford where nothing is direct. So I almost always have a layover, and the directs are at very inconvenient times. So maybe that's just because I don't fly out of a real airport.
Yeah, like I think I said, the thing that kills me for connections is the chance that your bag gets lost.
Right.
And depending on the nature of your trip, that can be truly catastrophic because it might take 1 or 2 days to get your bag to you afterwards. And if your trip is only 1 or 2 days or 3 or 4 days long, then the magnitude of possible failure seems a lot higher because not only might you not have your bag when you need it, but also who the hell knows how you, like, can you tell those airlines, like, hey, actually just hold on to it? I guess you could tell them to send it to your house, but if you don't live with someone, who's going to be there to receive your bag if you send it back home? That's what freaks me out about that. But I've also think I've been unlucky when it comes to layovers.
Well, Dan, I actually, because you made me curious what the stats are around mishandled baggage.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bureau of Transportation Statistics has an embedded Excel data sheet.
Oh, sweet. Wait, is that what BTS stands for?
Yeah, exactly. The kids go nuts for the Bureau of Transportation Statistics, an official website of the United States government. And in 2022, there were 470 million total bags put on and taken off airplanes.
Okay.
And in that,
I thought that was going to be how many were lost. I was like, my God, how many
So all of
flew?
them. And so, let's see here. And so, 6.4 bags mishandled per 1,000 deplaned.
Okay.
That's that's about 3 million out of 470 million.
What is in the category of mishandled?
Mishandled bags are defined. Oh my God, the fine print on this is awesome. Is defined as the number of checked bags that are lost, damaged, delayed, and pilfered, as reported by or on behalf of the passenger.
So, do they break it out by direct versus connecting flights?
They do not. It is only just total flights. And then they say bags mishandled per 1,000 passengers is about 4. So 4 bags mishandled for every 1,000 passengers.
So here's the thing: is I have 4 times in my life had a delayed bag. One of them was on a direct flight. Which, given how many times have I flown in my life? Not 1,000. Probably not 100. And I get 4. I think that does mean I'm probably statistically unlucky.
Well, I will say, do you want to guess which airlines mishandle the most luggage?
I'm gonna guess United, number 1.
No, they're actually 5th.
Okay.
Spirit.
Southwest.
Both are below United.
Wow.
This is bags per 1,000. American is number 1, followed by JetBlue and then Alaska.
Interesting.
Wait, so number 1 is
American.
worse. That's
Yes.
worse. They're
Yes.
the worst. Gotcha. Wow. I guess that makes sense. I've never had a good time flying on American.
No, it's
No.
That's
It's
United-
better. Yeah, it is better than United, though.
I'm trying to think.
Good
What
point.
would be like? Let's do this. We're coming up at the top of the hour here. We've made
Yep.
absolutely zero progress on our journey this evening.
Yes.
We kind of like circled around.
Our landing has been delayed. There's some planes on the runway, and we need to come around for another pass.
But I think it would be fun to end with this, which is I'm going to pull up the list here of the top 10 U.S. airlines as of 2024. I'm actually going to post them in the Riverside chat here. And I would like to know your guys' ranking
Okay.
of the top 10 airlines.
Ooh, they all end in airlines. That's a
Well, it would be concerning if it was a JetBlue train, bus lines.
I'm surprised none of them are like, the Scheinhart Wig Corporation LLC Limited or something like that.
Yes, co-limited.
Hawaiian makes the top 10. Wow.
Apparently. So maybe if you want to give your top and bottom, I don't know how you guys want to do this. But airlines you would fly and airlines you would aggressively
Let me
avoid.
put it this way. There are 3 airlines on here I have never flown.
Okay.
There are 5 airlines on here I have not flown in recent memory. I'm sure I've been on Southwest, but I couldn't tell you when.
So what are your top 3? What are your Dan preferred airlines?
So my top 3 are definitely Delta, Alaska, Hawaiian. JetBlue is an honorable mention. Although Alaska has not been doing as hot as it was doing sort of 5-6 years ago, but it's still pretty good. Delta. Yeah, I mean, what am I basing this on? I don't know. There's all the in-plane stuff. There's the quality of the planes. That I think is all sort of the same. There's the food. We talked about the food. I can't really speak to the differences of the food. Where it comes in for me is I do think Alaska has more legroom in economy than other airlines. I think that's true. So that's nice. And Delta and Alaska and JetBlue all have reasonable premium economy programs, which is usually what I go for. They're relatively cheap and easy to get, and the benefits are good. Yeah. And I'm also might be biased towards Delta because Lino has had a Delta status for a while, so he got to use the lounges and stuff. No
Swanky.
more. But so yeah, those are my top 3. I've never flown Spirit, Allegiant, Frontier. I couldn't tell you the last time I flew Southwest. Oh wow, and United isn't even up here. Oh wait, no, there
Yes,
it
it's
is.
the
And
same
I couldn't tell you the last time I flew Delta or Southwest or United.
I haven't flown many of these. Frontier, Allegiant, Spirit, Hawaiian, Alaska. I don't think I've flown any of them.
Really?
I used to be pretty diehard JetBlue. It's gone so far downhill that
Oh, no.
I avoid it at all costs. Not at all costs now, but like it's not good anymore.
Oh no.
They still, I mean, the seats are still far apart, I guess, but like everything else is bad. Especially if anything goes wrong, you're gonna have a bad time. Like they don't help you anymore. So I think we're Delta people now too. We've joined the Delta bandwagon. Mostly things work, and they're fine. You know, it gets you there. The plane is comfortable enough. Their economy seats are definitely cozier than JetBlue's are, though. But I also usually fly premium economy when I can. But then after that, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I haven't flown Southwest in so long. I just don't know. I haven't flown United in a long time. Yeah. The other one we've flown recently is Sun Country, which basically only goes to Minnesota, which is a weird one. It's not good. It's not fun. Their website, you can only purchase, like you can't use an American Express to purchase tickets. It's a Visa and MasterCard only, which is weird. And there's no app. Like you have to print out your ticket. Maybe, I'm trying to remember, you might get an email with your ticket in a PDF attached to the email, which is fun. I can't recommend that one either.
I do. There has been a big rise in these sort of Volaris is another one. Breeze I took. WestJet in Canada. Allegiant, which are like semi-regional.
Right.
Right. Not fully national.
I pasted a link to a diagram showing the seat distances. JetBlue still reigns supreme, followed by Southwest, and then Alaska Airlines and Delta are tied for third.
Good to know.
Well, it's not that bad. It's
Good
only
to
1.3 inches.
Yeah. But boy, do you feel it.
Ow.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, Frontier and Spirit are traditionally the garbage airlines. Allegiant, I think, from what I've heard, is fine, but I haven't flown any of those. Hawaiian and Alaska, I've never flown, soon to be merged into one. And Southwest, I've actually never flown. I really stuck it to the big 3. JetBlue's fine. I don't fly it that much. Delta, United, American, I think Delta is by far the best of those 3. And I would always go Delta if I could. And between American and United, kind of a toss-up. I think United has better planes and kind of a better experience. However, American has better routes. I do find United is a pain to fly because they don't fly anywhere I want to. They're always at the B airports or their hubs are inconvenient. That's why I kind of do American because they American and Delta too. They both have great East Coast hubs, so it's really easy to get layovers and stuff that aren't horrible. So yeah, probably Delta would be my number 1, followed by American. And then, yeah, there's all these other airlines. I talked about my Breeze experience. I like to try new things. And if the opportunity came up to try some of these airlines, I might, like Allegiant or Sun Country, although Colby wasn't a fan. But yeah, could be interesting. I'm always glad when there's new competition in the market.
I'm trying to find the name of the airline that operates only in Seattle and does seaplanes.
Oh, sure. Well, we out here we have, which our very good personal friend Colin Turkel is a pilot for Cape Air.
Cape Air.
Which does exclusively. Actually, I shouldn't say exclusively. They have weird. If you ever saw their map of places that they travel to, it's absolutely insane because it's like you think it's like, oh, it's like Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard, and it's like, no, you can go to like Lebanon, New York. You also go to like San Juan and Chicago and St. Thomas, and they just Cape Air's everywhere. But
Wild.
Wow.
Kenmore Air.
But anytime planes fly to small cities, I just think that's awesome. I don't know why, but
that's cool.
I love this 100% not photoshopped image on the Cape Air website. Let me see it. There we go. Look at that. It's water, and then underneath is someone snorkeling, but then above that are rocks that are way too big and don't extend into the water.
Wow.
Also, there are palm trees growing on the rocks somehow.
You know, the tropics. They're mysterious.
Man, these small planes are actually... You can fly from Boston to Bar Harbor in a Cessna for $89.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
I feel like when I saw Colin last, he was telling us about the places you can fly in Cape Air, and I was like surprised by some of them. I was like, oh yeah, you can actually go places.
The West Indies. They fly to the West Indies.
Wow.
I thought that was like a fake
haven't really
place.
Talked about that
up.
place in like 400 years or whatever.
Yeah, I was about to say I didn't think that was real, but I guess I'm wrong. Wild.
Oh, okay. This is a different Lebanon. All right.
Oh no, I didn't mean like the international Lebanon. I meant like Lebanon, New York. Fantastic. Guys, I didn't make a lot of progress tonight, but I think an interesting discussion nonetheless. Next week, stay tuned.
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Next week, we might actually deboard the plane. Who knows? And yet, there is still more to talk about. Because, guys, I'm sure we have rocking opinions about baggage claim that you're not going to want to miss. As I get to the plugs here at the end, of course, I got to go over and tease Up for Debate. Our most current episode remains the Movie League. Unfortunately, Matt and I have not been able to connect the last couple weeks. He's been busy at school and I've been busy, but March Madness is going to become March Madness April edition at this point. But we're still going to do it. So stay with us at upfordebate.tv, of course, our website. And that was the other thing I was writing down was you guys were starting to give me ideas for our summer movies and what our theme is going to be this year. So I'm already starting to write down ideas. Kyle McLaughlin gave me an idea. We should do movies based on comics and cartoons, like the Flintstones, Popeye the movie. I think they've made a couple of them that I think could be really interesting. Anyway,
you could just do Kyle MacLachlan movies.
I thought about that. I really did, because it's such a weird collection of movies. But I also need to pitch things that Matt might actually want to do, and unfortunately, I don't. I don't know. Although last summer we did Harrison Ford movies, but not the ones anyone likes. So, to be fair, we don't have any taste. So what do I know? Don't pick that was our website.
What was the first Harrison Ford movie you did that was funny? Not funny, but it was.
To be fair, it was good. It was American Graffiti, which was a great movie. He was in it for about 5 minutes. It was like the 8th billed person in the movie. But it was a good movie. I mean, I would recommend it. But yeah, Harrison Ford. And then we ended with the one where he just hangs out with the CGI dog in the CGI woods for a good chunk of the film. So I don't know what we were thinking.
What movie was that?
Call of the Wild, the one he did like right before the pandemic. Weird. Which actually wasn't terrible. I'll be honest. It's a good, like, your teacher puts it on because it's based on a famous book movie that you don't like totally hate. It was primed for that.
Nice.
Don'tpanic.io is our website. Go there, check out all the episodes, audio and video, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts with a video version on YouTube. And of course, get a hold of us, don'tpanicShow@gmail.com. we're going to wrap it up here, but we got more great discussion, so make sure you come back next week. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I am Sean. We appreciate you being here. We're going to see you next time for another great episode of Don't Panic.